The Completion Process by Teal Swan. Thank you, Brianna. She gave me this book, and it laid on the table for a few weeks, and I had a hard time picking up for some reason. It was like, oh, another book, another process, you know. But it kept laying there, and I kept feeling the energy pull me toward it, so I finally picked it up and read it. It's a wonderful process to go through. When you see it says completion process, that has nothing to do with being something that you finish. It is just the completion of a woundedness that you had from probably the time that you were actually conceived to 8 years, throughout to your eight years. That some core cause happened that created the suffering, the pain, the disconnect that you have with yourself, which creates a disconnect from the all, right? If we're not connected to the self that we are, we cannot be connected to the all, because you are that all. Does that make sense? Yes. So this is not a process that you ever finish. This is a process that has things come into your path that you feel disconnected from, that is part of your suffering or your pain. This is your opportunity to look at it, to complete the effect of it and bring you back into your wholeness, okay? The only thing that your soul desires is that you be whole. So every single thing that's going to bring you into that wholeness is going to show up into your life in order for you to integrate whatever was fractured in you when you had those hurts, when you had a need that wasn't met, when you had something that you did not receive validation for, that your feeling was made to be bad, instead of it just being just what it was, a feeling. So we're going to dive into this process. The time has come to stop trying to feel better and instead to become better at feeling. This is totally a reversal of what we were taught, right? We were programmed to think, right? To think about what we do, pay attention to your thoughts, which we do to create. We understand that. But what happens when you have these feelings that are surfacing, these emotions that are showing themselves? Do you just ignore them? Do you think they're just there to create havoc in your life? Why are they there? Why do you have your feelings?
That's how your body moves energy.
Mm-hmm. Moves energy, emotion.
I think they're guides to help show you where you might need to grow, learn, or do, or not do.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
it's simply evolution, like a survival space for humans to evolve, because you learn, okay, I'm scared of that, so I need to,
Or
that's not safe.
Yes. Or you cope with something. Remember what we talked about a few weeks ago about coping? You're coping with something that's happening to you instead of bringing it into your awareness. It's there for a reason. Everything is here for a reason. There are no consequences. There are no mistakes. There are no failures. There are all opportunities and unlimited potentials for you to evolve. That's why they're in your space. That's why they're in your path. So we learn that these are our opportunities. We don't look at them as this negative thing that we want to push away. Because guess what?
they'll come back.
Right, but it gets broken off from us, and then it becomes manifested in our physical body because we're not aware of it, right? So we'll dive deeper into that. I'm kind of going off here. So anyway, we are here today to feel, okay? And we're literally going to go through this process today and get you to a core of whatever's creating any discomfort, suffering, or pain within you, so that you can see it, embrace it, and love it. So I'm using all of her quotes, so they're a little lengthy, but I thought they were important. The circumstances you are experiencing are not the cause of your suffering. The cause of your suffering is the thought that what is happening should not be happening or is not supposed to happen. This is our biggest suffering. Judging what's happening in our lives. Right? But we also, as Unity students, we know that we have a responsibility, right? That if what's showing up in our life, it is coming into an awareness for us to look at it, right? So it's also a responsibility for us to look at it so that we don't have the suffering. So why do you think that if we're experiencing these feelings, what would make you feel that you're not supposed to experience them?
Program from childhood.
Programming. Mm-hmm. So spirituality, people get this so confused. They think that we're these little Pollyanna people that go around and we all have to think positive all the time, right?
Yeah.
That's what I get most of the time from people. Oh, she's a spiritual person. She's always happy. She's, she thinks everything has to be positive. That's not what it's about at all. That's not what it's about at all. It's just we learn to come into spirit that we are and become aware of it. It's about self-awareness. It's about self-love. It's all about the self. It's about creating and coming into the wholeness of the self, capital S. That's what spirituality is. And whatever it takes to do that. And that means button up against your feelings, right? That means walking through the pain of something that was caused as a child. That's what spirituality is about. It's just removing what is blocking us from who we truly are and the light that's shining forth through us. That's what it is. And to do that, we have these tools that we use to come back in to that truth. Okay? Can we leave it up there a minute? I want to say another thing here while she's doing that. This woman got a bad rap. And some people aren't here today because I'm doing this talk. Because if you go on and you look her up, it will say that she's a cult leader. Just like they say I am.
In this cult, yeah, they say in this cult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently you like to get naked and dance around treatment.
Yeah.
That's my understanding of it.
Because it's different. Because it's not the programmed religious mindset. Because it's different, we're a cult. That's the only reason. There's no understanding of who we are. There's no even desire to understand who we are because it's different. And they're not going to change, and that's okay. We honor them where they are. We respect them where they are. We do not judge that. No. But in the same term, the people that didn't want to come today because of this, I asked them, did you listen to the message that she had to say? Nope. I done saw who she is. Nope. All the people out here talking about her on so. Nope. So what happened then? Close their mind. Close their heart. No expansion there. Stagnation. So they're home today, probably watching TV. I'm not judging them, but what I'm saying, this is what happens to us when we don't expand outward and don't want to dive into something that we may not be comfortable with, that we may not like. Well, you can throw it out with the dishwater. You don't have to keep it. Well,
you explain really well the spiritual and metaphysical part of this, but her stuff is actually very scientific based.
yes.
And like to me, that was like the part that like, wow, like this isn't just spiritual or metaphysical, like this is real because as childhood, and are you okay with me explaining it? Or do you want me to wait?
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. She does the process, so she's going to do a little testimonial here today.
I don't realize why, I don't understand why this Teal, whoever, this is a paraphrase of the second noble truth of the Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a paraphrase, not even a real good one, but I don't know why it would be controversial.
Well, I don't either. It's just somebody started the ball rolling, and she thinks different. She comes from a different place than what we've been programmed to come from, and so someone labeled her, and then it took off.
Yeah.
So her message is beautiful. This book is beautiful. So,
Well,
okay?
thank
Sorry.
That's okay, honey. You don't ever have to be sorry. Okay, so as we grow up, we become conscious of what is bad, good and what is bad. We banish things we think are bad to the subconscious mind. We try to deny them, we try to avoid looking at them, and we try to forget them and often succeed. This is why so many people do not remember their childhoods. Have you ever wondered why you don't remember your child, a large part of it? You just kind of remember maybe the good things and maybe the really bad things, unless they're really traumatic. And I want to tell you, every single person has trauma in their life. It may be different than your trauma, may look different, but trauma is trauma. We go through trauma when we become conditioned, because we're actually going against the divine spark that we are, right? So that is actually trauma in itself. So the subconscious mind, remember, only holds what we already know, holds our past, holds our old beliefs, holds all those error thoughts. The subconscious mind is where all of that goes. And if you focus on something long enough, it becomes part of your subconscious mind, whether you consciously are aware of it or not. Okay? The subconscious mind is where we do our shadow work, because we can't see it, so it is a shadow, right? And the conscious mind is your mind, your light, your presence, your now, your consciousness, you're aware of it. Okay? Do we understand that? Okay. So, our emotional selves are children, and they never grow up. We just learn how to parent our emotional selves better. So, if you just think of where you are
Sorry.
emotionally.
Me and my friend, we were just talking about this last night. She was like, "Oh, I'm a 4-year-old."
Yeah. And that's where we base our emotional selves on, is that's where you look at it. Because the maturity of your emotional self is coming from the child within. The adult is the one that actually is going to bring you back into the wholeness from a mature self, okay? But your emotional selves, this will be another way to show where you are. How do you react emotionally? Are you still reacting from a state of being a little girl throwing a tantrum? Do you throw tantrums? You know, look at that. Be aware of that. Yeah, because that's going to show you where you are emotionally. Okay? Now I want to look at our revealing word, and let's look at what Charles Fillmore said about emotion. Undisciplined or uncontrolled forces. So remember, emotion is energy in motion. So if we're not aware of it, we're not giving it attention, we're not guiding it in the direction it needs to go, it's undisciplined and it's uncontrolled, right? Subnormal or supernormal activity of mental or physical forces, excitement of the feelings. And one thing I want to say here, talking about the excitement of the feelings, is that when I hear it here a lot, they're being dramatic. This is all drama. One thing she talks about, there's no drama, because every feeling is worthy to have attention. And if we're saying, well, this is drama, it might feel like drama to us, but that feeling coming from those people is very real. They feel the intensity.
Yeah.
It's not drama to them. It's how they feel. So we're actually judging them, putting them down, saying they're being all dramatic, when in truth they are expressing their feeling, which needs some acknowledgement and love and support. Okay? So we're still on emotion. It is found that for each bad emotion, there's corresponding chemical change in the tissues of the body that is life-depressing and poisonous. So if you're holding an emotion of anger, fear, lack, or whatever, that's what's happening to your body. you're releasing a chemical into your tissues of life-depressing and poisonous to you. Wow. Every good emotion makes a life-promoting change. Thus, it follows that it pays to think good thoughts and to do good acts for one's own sake. So that's the reason as spiritual beings that we maybe look Pollyanna and we want positive things, because we know what happens to the physical, mental, all of our energy bodies if we don't do that, right? And if we're not doing that, why aren't we? And what do I got to look at to bring me into my wholeness? And she talks about healing. And healing is not a good word. And we're not going to use that around here anymore. I've decided that healing means something's wrong with you. Healing means there's something needs to be fixed. Okay? So, when we come into a consciousness of knowing that we're whole, complete, that's what changes us. That's what shifts us back. Okay? It's not the fact that we have to heal something. We just have to remember who we truly are, that we are whole. Okay? And that's what shifts us back into that. So let's look at what they say about healing. Restoring to original purity or integrity. That's Webster's definition. The first step in all spiritual healing is to believe. The next step is openness and receptibility to the stream of healing life. Okay? Through the exercise of faith in our words, our spiritual quality is fused into unity with the power of Christ, and the work is marvelously accomplished. So when we say the power of Christ, all we're saying here is that we're coming into the principle of our wholeness that Jesus obtained as our way shore, okay? And that is the Christ principle. Okay? Make sense? Okay. All healing is based on mental cleansing. When the mind is free from error thoughts, harmony in the body ensues. Permanent healing is never accomplished until the mental cause of the disease, the error thought, is removed. Jesus was a true healer, and when he cast out the error that caused the condition, he said, "Sin no more, lest a worse thing befall thee." The thing was caused by sin. Thus, the true way to heal is to find the mental cause and destroy it forever. So right here it says, to find the mental cause and destroy it forever. That is exactly what she does. That is her work. And we just read it here in our little truth, our little revealing word. So, okay, let's move on here. We got a lot to go through. Okay, the reason we suffer from our emotion is not because of the emotion itself, but because of the resistance to that particular emotion. That is the reason why we have the pain and the suffering, is because we resisted it, right? We're in a flow in life, an allowing energy that we just move with it. So if we have something that happens to us and we go, nope, not going to feel it, okay?
Yeah.
What happens?
Okay.
You're walking away from it.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's growing bigger and bigger because it's trying to catch you. Can you just see what kind of happens with it? Okay? So what if we didn't resist it? What if we loved it? What if we brought it in and embraced it? Looked at it, felt it? What would happen then?
I have a story for you later.
Okay. We're getting into our stories, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes. If we know without doubt that everything is being brought to us for our evolution, everything, all emotion, all experiences, all relationships, all of it is being brought to us for our evolution. You have invited it to you by what you think and feel and intentions you set. You've invited it. And where you're vibrating, you're going to bring in that same vibrational experience to you, right? Okay? So just remember this, resistance is what is keeping you in that suffering energy, okay? Because you're not willing to look at it and love it. If what you want is health, happiness, wealth, inner peace, and enlightenment, you need to integrate your shadows. Now I want to say about enlightenment, she talks about enlightenment is each time you gain the wholeness out of whatever caused this woundedness. Each and every time you do that, you become enlightened a little more, okay? Enlightenment does not retire, okay? There's no end to enlightenment. It is a continual process. You need to invite the unconscious into the conscious. You're the master, okay? So what you invite happens. So invite these things from your subconscious mind and tell them you're ready. I want to see you. I want to feel you. I want to experience you. You need to become aware of what you are not aware of. You need to accept, re-own, acknowledge, understand, and love what you currently pushed away from yourself. Things like painful memories, negative thoughts, painful emotions are parts of yourself that you dislike. So, it's not about the healing, because there's nothing wrong with you, okay? That's the first thing you have to believe, that there's nothing wrong with you. If you believe there is, then there is, okay? So we want to integrate. Integrate. We want to bring back these little pieces that we didn't pay attention to, that broke up within us, and they found a place in our physical being, in our energy bodies, to create this havoc within us, to create this void, to create this, I'm not whole, something's missing. What's missing? Okay? Yes. And think about it like this way. Think about integration. I got this thought came to me, and I'm thinking about how we as human beings, when we become fragmented, all of our parts have to come back, right, to make us whole. Think about creation. Think about when all the parts were fragmented and created all of this, right? Well, just think, in order for all of us to be whole again, we have to all be integrated back into that energy, right? Is that not cool? Yeah. So we're doing exactly here as a human being, we're doing the same thing that our Creator is doing. Cool. Realization I had. Okay, so we're going to look at what they say about integration. Revealing word. When all the desire of the mind and heart is to express God, man is made whole, unified, integrated. Blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Man is spiritually integrated when he experiences unity of mind and body through the Christ consciousness, just as Jesus did. And Jesus showed us how to do it. He is our way shower. So, for most of us, it is our subconscious that walks us into relationships, not our conscious. And our subconscious mind is filled with shadows. Then guess what happens? All of you that come and talk about your relationships, guess what's happening? They're there to mirror to you what you need to see. They're there to show you an aspect of yourself that you have not integrated yet. Because if you had integrated it, what they did would not bother you. Right? Right? So, shadows are mirrored by our partners, by our relationships. Okay? Remember that. The people who trigger us to feel negative emotion are messengers. They are messengers for the unhealed parts of our being. The people who, read this with me, the people who trigger us to feel negative emotion are messengers. They are messengers for the unhealed parts of our being. They are here to save you, to help you, to guide you, to evolve you. So when you are having all these feelings and blaming them and shaming them, you are doing that unto yourself, and you are also pushing away what is yours to learn.
So in every case,
Yes.
even a rapist,
Huh?
a rapist, a murderer,
Everything.
a molester.
Everything.
So we are supposed to have no negative emotion.
No, I didn't say that. No.
Oh yeah, that's what that says.
People trigger.
The people
Yeah, I
who
think
trigger
rape
us,
might trigger something.
huh?
When she uses the word trigger, she's not meaning it as like an event, as much as like, yeah, like just the
We up
emotion.
here in social contact when somebody can irritate us and cause an emotional trigger.
Right.
But I ask in every case, and in every case, this is true.
She's actually really big in not being in unhealthy relationships, not taking
Yeah,
abuse.
but that's all the froth on the sea. This doesn't deal with the problem of evil, which the problem of evil is what it comes to. I mean, you ask, I said, I'm not gonna
Right.
talk anymore.
So say someone comes up to you and, you know, your partner or whoever, and, like for instance, they call you a name, and instantly you're triggered. Because apparently you related to that name, right? Or it wouldn't have triggered you. You know, if you were whole and complete in who you are, you would have just thought, well, okay, they're having a bad day. I'll just love them. Everything's okay. You know, you would react differently. But when you're triggered, something goes off inside of you. Something that makes you remember, I wasn't validated. I didn't get a need met. What is this? Why am I feeling this way? It's for you to become self-aware that something in you took you outside of you being whole and you being the love and you being the peace. It's just, that's what spirituality is about. It's becoming, you're the observer of yourself so that you can see when you are out of alignment and you can go to whatever is showing you that so that you can come back into alignment and integrate whatever it is that got created the trigger in the very first place. She takes you all the way back to the very beginning, the first trigger, the very first emotional need that didn't get met. She wants you to go all the way back to that. She even says it may take you numerous times to go through the layers to get you back to the very core woundedness as a child. Make sense? So we're just trying to bring an awareness to you that when you're in relationships or just interacting with other people, pay attention. What's going on inside of you? Are they making you mad, or you don't like what they say? You don't like how they look, how they act? That's not about them. It's about you. It's always about us. Okay? That's how we become masters of ourselves, is mastering how we respond and show up in the world and how we interact with others. Oops. Whoops. Help me. My battery's going dead because this thing's turning red. Ah! More? Okay. No matter how hard you try, you cannot get rid of darkness because it does not exist. So if we're always constantly trying to get rid of it, something that doesn't exist, then what do we got to do? It is nothing but the absence of light. In order to affect darkness, you must do something with light, because the light is the only thing that actually exists. That's how energy workers work. They use light to transmit whatever is not of the light. They just apply the light, or they remove whatever's blocking the light. That's all that energy work is. And then source comes through for bringing that back into wholeness. So we are actually going to go through this process today, and just to get you a feel of it. So I'm just going to there's 18 steps, and I'm just going to say the name of the steps so you know what you're going to expect when we go through this meditation. It's just so you have a little idea of what's going to happen here. So first, the meditation is about 20 minutes. You're going to create a safe haven. And then they're going to take you into practicing emotional, how do you say that? Vipassana? V-I-P-A-S-S-A-N-A. Vipassana.
That's a Buddhist term. It's
Meditation.
And we practice that in order to explore the feeling or trigger. Then we're going to validate the present feeling that you're going to have. You're going to invite the memory to surface. You're going to re-experience the memory. You're going to validate the feeling with the memory. And you're going to step into the adult perspective within the memory. You're going to validate the child's emotions. Then you're going to await for the relief. Then you're going to call back other fractured aspects of self. You're going to meet the child's need within the memory. You're going to choose to stay or go. So you can leave it at any time. And then you're going to check to see if there was a completion in it. Did it bring you back into wholeness? You're going to enter the safe haven again, and you're going to deactivate the memory. You're going to create purification and healing. You're going to meet the child's need within the safe haven, option to stay or to merge, and return to the conscious perspective. Now, all of this is all options. These are not telling you.
Okay, I was asking, is that like the process that goes on during the meditation?
Yes.
Okay, I was.
Yes. I just wanted you to just have a little insight to be prepared.
But they will tell you as you're going.
Yes, they're going to. He is very good at
Okay.
this. Yes. So I would like for Brianna to come up and just a short little thing about. She's been doing this process. Could you come up and just share a little bit with everybody?
Yeah, so for me it was more about the childhood explanation she gives in the book about like, it's between the ages of 0, 4, 5, a child's brain is in theta state, 24/7, always in theta, which means that's like a hypnotic state. They absorb everything. And as a child, you're dependent on your parents for survival, because if your parents, you don't consciously think this as a child, but you are dependent on your parents for shelter, food, safety, love. Like, you literally have to have love.
It's like the development of the brain. Too, right?
Yes, and so you have, as a child, you have all these programs that naturally just came in before the age of 5, 100% no filter. They just came in, and this is how you decided the world worked, and this is your program for how this world works. This is how I keep safe. This is how I keep things happy.
I've heard it described in like medical term as CPTSD.
It is.
Okay.
It is. It is a this is a legit thing, and so she actually works mostly with prisoners and veterans, and then between the ages of 5 and 10 to 12, depending on the child, you're in and out of that theta state. And so the rest of that programming on how the world works for you, really, you're still creating all those different programs. And so it could be something completely different. So a big example is what Teal says here about the people or the relationships in your life, right? My kids take food off my plate, and I've almost stabbed them with a fork before, just instinctually. Like, just stop it. Like, because they didn't ask. And anyway, that went back clear back to like when I was in first grade, and my mom made me share my pizza with my brother. And it was just, it was silly to me, right? Silly. But as that child self of mine, like, that was legit. Like, that was a real trauma that happened for me. And I was really, really upset. And so there genuinely is no wrong way to do this. There's no wrong feeling. You have to treat yourself so kindly and so compassionately, because you are dealing with a child. You are dealing with a child inside of you that is so hurt and unheard and unseen and unvalidated. And the first time that I actually did this process was terrifying. It was terrifying, because remembering memories wasn't the hard part. It was the emotion that was gonna come that I was gonna feel. And that was scary as hell. That to be swallowed up in the emotion of shame and despair and agony or whatever those emotions were. And it took me probably about 3 months before I wasn't completely terrified because I did it several times a week and I had to like build up my courage to do it because and now it's very natural for me. Like, okay, I can feel this and I'm not scared of the feeling it anymore and letting it completely swallow me up. So maybe in here is okay if you feel like we're just going halfway, we're just gonna step my toe because this can be a process that my first process probably took 4 hours. And then within those next 3 months, it took anywhere from 2 hours to 6 hours, and they were pretty heavy duty things. And then your body, as you gain trust with your body, and as I gain trust with my body's like, all right, like I trust you. Like I see that you're gonna see this, you're gonna validate this, and it's gonna be okay. And there isn't like a point where you have like, if your inner child self is like, no, yeah, I'm done. Like you're done, and that's okay. There's no like, we're trying to get to this point. It's just a genuine.
I've heard it described more as in like between the age of when you're born and age 8, your mind is developing all these different things. And if you don't have like the basic food, shelter, love, if you don't have those type of things, it can cause like a fight or flight for the rest of your life. It can cause trauma.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's kind of the way
and it doesn't even have to be that big.
Yeah,
that, You know what I mean? Because to a
if
child,
you were denied something that, you know,
yeah. Well, like I said, it was pizza. Oh,
Yeah,
good
yeah.
gravy. You know, it was pizza for me. Like I had all my basic needs met.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It
but-
can, it doesn't have to be, you know,
Yeah.
that, but it can cause like a fight or flight for the rest of your
it
life.
can't. Yeah.
You don't even know what it is
Exactly.
until you
It's-
process it.
So that initial memory is what your body literally layers and builds up off, your subconscious builds off that program. Like this is how the world works. And then so when you have another event or another activity that happens, you reaffirm this is how this works. And then something else, and you already have this
It's so deep.
program there that this is how I interpret and filter my world. And so every other event and memory and thing that happens all stacks right on top of this core one right here. And so sometimes you can go to this bottom and pull this one out and the whole thing goes,
Yeah.
and you don't have to go, but there's other times, like for me, it's like massive trauma, and I've had to go, and that's taken me months and months to pick through the bit until when this one comes up, it comes up. And anyway, and I have done energy work and healing work for over a decade now, and all kinds of different modalities and processes, and I can say hands down 100% that this one is the least Band-Aid approach I have ever seen. Like this is genuinely, there is no Band-Aid with this. This is you healing your relationship with you.
This is bacon.
Thank you, Brianna.
Say that again?
This is the basis of Huna and what you do with Huna.
Yeah, I don't know that one, but
I don't need it.
Yeah, but you're taking care of fixation sessions, you're going to the core issue to resolve that. Once you remove those, everything else.
and then you leave space for you to create new ways you want to view the world.
In our programs, there's
Yep.
coping mechanisms.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want you just to understand that the only way out is in. You cannot get out of anything until you go within. If you're out here looking for your answers, and if you're out here looking to find ways to make you whole, good luck. That's all I got to say. Because it is within here that the change, the enlightenment, the evolution all takes place. So are you coming in for this meditation? You.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I was doing for Glenn.
So this is 20 minutes long. It's going to take you through all those steps. is there anything you wanna say to help them through the meditation? Have you done this before?
I don't know the particular one you've come up with. I would just set your intention that you probably don't want to get into anything too deep.
Yeah.
Because,
This is another tool for you. You know, we'll go through it today. If you know, you just do with it what you want, whatever you want to allow. You're the master. You're in control. So whatever you want to allow to happen.
Stretch out for it.
You can stretch out. You can lay down. You can jump up on the table back there with the stuffed animals. You can do whatever you want to do. Whatever.
this is something too I would recommend, if you have somebody who's willing to, like, partner with you, this is a great thing to work with somebody else at, because it's really hard to therapy yourself, because you have to be able to split. And so if you have somebody who can help guide you through those steps as you're talking and trying to explain what you're seeing and how your inner child is seeing, like, that would be really beneficial.
Yes, and if this is a process, I would recommend you get the book and you do the process.
I have like 2 copies I can loan out.
Okay. So he gets you into this meditation very good. So just go with it. Hopefully something will come up for you that will help you integrate.